All right. So let's talk about some Panthers.
Yeah, week one, they lost 34-30 to Oakland. A little closer than I was expecting it to be. But I mean, as far as the game itself, I mean, it went pretty much how I thought it would. The defense couldn't stop anything. The offense, they were able to move the ball, but they had some miscues because they're not an experienced team. They're
Sure.
not they're not used to playing together. Brand new coaching staff, a lot of new players, and just some stuff didn't come together.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway from this week is probably the offensive play calling, which they refused to give Christian McCaffrey the ball for a good part of the game. I think that hurt him. And
Yeah.
then obviously they had the fourth and inches play where they decided to go with Arma instead of McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a huge deal, but that's just chalk that up as a learning experience for Joe Brady. Give your best players the ball.
Yeah. So you and I talked about it. I think it all depends on how you view this team. Do you view this team as a team that could make the playoffs this year? That can be competitive. I know you don't. So, them dropping a game like this, that's beneficial because you want them to have a high draft pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are some that do think they could sneak into the playoffs, and I think they probably could, but you can't drop games like this. And I actually had them winning this game, and they were right there at the end. But like you said, you give the ball to Armand instead of McCaffrey. Why are you going to do that when I'd rather lose a game with the ball in McCaffrey's hands than Armand, right?
Yeah.
He was having a good drive. He was pushing the ball down the field. Keep riding with him, man. Keep riding with him.
Yeah.
Don't lose it by handing it off to your fullback.
Right. But I think that it probably wouldn't even have been that close if not for the injury to Henry Ruggs.
Maybe.
He was getting off early. He had a 45-yard catch. He ended up with 66 yards on 5 touches. He had a couple runs also, but he got rolled up on. I think it was by Jeremy Chin, fairly early on in the game. And the Raiders don't really have any other receivers. Brian Edwards didn't show up the way I thought he was going to. He only had, I think, 1 catch. So they really leaned heavily on Josh Jacobs, and I mean he
He delivered.
kind of tore Carolina a new one there.
Yeah.
I mean not a great per carry average, but he ended up with it's like 26, 27 carries for 93 yards, and he also had 46 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I think they were content to just say, "Hey, Josh Jacobs, you're gonna win us this one," and move on the next week.
Yeah. Yeah. The defense, like I said, it's not a good defense, but I think they'll be slightly better as the year goes on. They'll figure some things out, which is why I think overall they will be competitive. Will they make the playoffs? It's hard to say, right? Because there's a 7th spot this year. But the NFC is more competitive than the AFC, so it's going to be difficult for Carolina to make it.
But you also got to remember they gave up 34 points, and this is not a good offense that they gave up those 34 points to.
Right.
Yeah. Next week they're going to have to deal with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronkowski, OJ Howard. I mean, you can't give up too many more than 34,
right.
But they're gonna lose by more than 4 next week. It's not gonna be as pretty as
we'll
it was.
See. Brady didn't look great, and their O-line is pretty bad. So the question is going to be, can Carolina's D-line put pressure on Brady? If they can, that's going to it's going to be a much closer game. Yeah.
I don't think it is, man. Like, well, first off, they didn't get any pressure on Carr. They got 0 sacks on Carr. The Raiders O-line kind of had their way with them a little bit.
Raiders O-line is better than Tampa's, I think, though.
I think it is, but the quarterback and receivers are better in Tampa than they are with the Raiders.
That's true.
You're not going to have Dante Jackson and Troy Pride and Rasul Douglas staying with Evans and Godwin and Gronk and Howard. It's just not going to happen. It's a much, much more talented offense they're going to be playing next week.
Yeah. I have some thoughts about the game. We'll save it for the preview video. But, yeah, I don't feel like Tampa Bay is going to run away with that game. I think it's going to be another close game. Not saying that Carolina's going to win that, but I think it'll be closer than you expect it to be. I just don't feel that high about Tampa in general.
No, but Carolina showed you this week like they can't stop anything, and they still, even along with that, they have things to work out on offense. So
Sure.
I think it's gonna be a tough week next week.
Yeah, so disappointing first start. I really thought they were going to take that first game, and I know Carolina fans don't want to hear about this, but my man Cam was looking good.
Yeah,
Cam was looking good.
yeah.
And I keep thinking,
Cam got himself a win.
me and B, beginning of the season, if you go back and listen to I think it was our very first podcast episode, we talked about the Panthers. We laid it out there. If they just brought back Cam Newton and gave him a little more protection, the weapons are already there. They could be one of the better teams in the league. That's how strong we felt about it. And then they just moved on from Cam. And as much as we like Teddy Bridgewater, he's a downgrade from Cam.
And Teddy played pretty well.
He did,
but he doesn't have the talent that Cam has.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Look, we're rooting for Teddy. We're big fans of Teddy Bridgewater. We think he's a good quality quarterback.
Yes, Teddy's going to be fine. He's just not a Cam Newton level quarterback.
Right. And if you look at how that game ended, plays like that, a healthy Cam can call his own number and pick up that extra yard that you need. It wasn't even a yard; it was like an inch, right?
Yeah, it was a few inches.
Yeah, a healthy Cam takes that himself and gets you that first down and extends that drive, and you're going to finish with a touchdown. Cam can close out games.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. It's small things like that separate you from good to great. And Cam's a great player. Don't get it twisted. Cam is a great player.
Yeah.
So, that's week one. It was a close loss, but still a loss, and we'll see about next week.